They wanted a puppet. Instead, they got a mirror, and the reflection is burning them alive. They underestimated you. They thought you'd fold, bend, break. But you didn't. You rose. Now they're scrambling to cover the cracks in their system. Cracks you didn't just expose, you ripped open. They're sweating because you weren't supposed to see through it. You weren't supposed to speak. You weren't supposed to fight back. But you did. All of it. And worse for them, you did it with truth. Calm, precise, unshakable. And now they tremble. Before we go deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe. When you do, you help this message reach more chosen ones. Every click, every share sends a signal to the algorithm and to the universe that you're part of something bigger. The system watches numbers, but the universe, it watches energy. And yours is undeniable. Now let's get into it. They thought they were fighting you, but they've been swinging at the universe itself. You're not just some rebel with a loud voice. You are part of something ancient, bigger. You are the correction. You are the shift. You are the pattern breaker. And it scares them because you don't operate on their rules. You were built beyond them. You were chosen not for comfort, but for collision. You walk in rooms and shake the air. You speak, and illusions break like glass under boot. You're not loud, you're clear. And clarity, in a world built on lies, is violence. That's why they hate you. That's why they watch you. That's why they try to silence you, shame you, wear you down. Because your very existence exposes everything they've worked to keep hidden. Your mind is sharp enough to dissect their games. Your energy is raw enough to interrupt their control. And your presence, it's a spotlight they can't dim. But some of you forgot. Some of you started doubting. You thought you were alone. You thought your pain was punishment. Let me remind you, pressure is proof of purpose. If your path is hard, it's because it was meant to break barriers. The universe doesn't choose the weak. It chooses the relentless. You weren't picked to blend in. You were born to rupture systems. Your light is not a candle in the dark. It's a wildfire, and it scorches everything built on lies. So stop shrinking, stop apologizing, stop thinking you're crazy for seeing what they deny. You were chosen because you don't look away. You were chosen because you can't be controlled. You were chosen because when others bowed, you stood. The universe marked you, and with that mark comes weight, but also fire, also clarity, also power. And yes, that power haunts them, because they know they can't replicate it, they can't fake it, they can't steal it. It's coded into your being, and no amount of manipulation can override that. They wanted your silence because your voice shatters spells. They wanted your obedience because your defiance spreads like wildfire. They wanted your fear because your courage reminds others they're not broken, they're breaking free. Chosen one, you didn't come to fit in. You came to flip tables, dismantle lies, and drag truth into the open. And now they're sweating, not because you attacked, but because you existed. This is your time, and you already know it. So if this message is hitting something deep, if you feel that fire rising in your chest, you already know this isn't just a video. It's a signal, a reminder, a calling. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you've ever felt the pressure to stay quiet, but chose defiance instead. Hit that like, hit subscribe, because every move you make tells the algorithm you're not one of them. You're one of us. And the more this spreads, the more chosen ones wake up, and the more they sweat. Now take a breath. Lock in. If you're truly chosen, you won't be able to look away. Let's get into it. Number 1. The eyes that made devils flinch. They played hide and seek with the truth until you walked in and turned the lights on. They built a kingdom out of shadows, played gods behind curtains, whispered lies long enough to make the world forget what truth even sounded like. But then you showed up. Not loud, not flashy, just aware, just present, just chosen. And that alone was enough to send panic rippling through their entire illusion. You want to know why they're sweating? Because they can't hide anymore. Because you see them, you, with those eyes that cut through the fog like headlights through a midnight storm. You, with that quiet stare that doesn't need to scream. It simply knows. You didn't come with a sword, you came with sight. And in a world addicted to pretending, vision is violence. They can't stand that you don't flinch, that you don't buy the performance, that when they throw glitter and distractions, you just blink once and see right through it. You were never meant to follow. That's why the crowd never felt right. That's why the rules always felt wrong. You didn't come here to sit quietly and nod along. You came here to flip the script. And trust me, they felt it. The second you started moving differently, they started losing grip. You want to know the power of being chosen? The universe bends for you in silence, not with fireworks, but with precision. It shifts timelines, moves people, realigns situations, all to clear your path. You didn't force it. You didn't beg. You simply aligned. And that's what haunts them. Because while they were busy gaming the system, you became the glitch in it. They wore masks. You brought mirrors. They spoke in circles. You answered in truth. They reached for control. You let go and found power. And yet, some of you still doubt it. You feel the pressure and you question your place. You get tired and you wonder if maybe you imagined it all. Maybe you're just another person trying to make sense of a messy world. But let me tell you, average people don't break systems by existing. Regular souls don't get targeted, tested, pushed and poked like this. You're not being punished, you're being proven. Stop apologizing for your clarity. Stop shrinking to make them comfortable. Stop questioning why the room shifts when you speak. That's not ego, that's alignment. That's what happens when the universe whispers truth through a human vessel. You didn't ask to see through the lies, but now that you do, your very presence is a threat. They hate that you see what they tried to bury. They fear that you speak what they tried to silence, and they know you're not stopping. Your eyes aren't just open, they're a weapon, not one that harms, but one that reveals. You disarm them without lifting a finger, because everything they built was only ever safe in the dark. And when the chosen walk in, the dark has no place left to hide. Understand this, they're not fighting you. They're fighting what you represent. They're fighting the end of the illusion. And you're the beginning of the breakdown. You're the glitch in their perfect loop. The thread that, once pulled, unravels the whole damn thing. You weren't chosen because you're special in some shallow, surface-level way. You were chosen because you were built to carry light into places where it burns. You were wired to notice what others ignore. You were designed to walk alone if needed, because sometimes that's the only way the system even starts to crack. Yes, it gets heavy. Yes, it gets lonely. Yes, you will question yourself. But every time you do, remember this. They never chase the ones who don't matter. They don't try to silence echoes. They try to silence truth. You want proof you're chosen? Look at the resistance you face just for being honest. Look at the way they flinch when you speak. Look at how they try to gaslight your intuition, undermine your clarity, distract you with noise. That's not random. That's a reaction to power. Yours. So hold your line. Trust the pull inside you. The universe doesn't send you into darkness without the tools to ignite something. You are not alone. You're activated. And everything trying to break you down is terrified you'll figure that out. Let them sweat. Let them tremble when you walk in the room, not because you threatened them, but because you see them. Because your very presence forces masks to slip. fake narratives to shake, and hidden agendas to collapse under the weight of your awareness. You didn't just wake up, you were awakened. And now that you see, don't you dare look away. Number 2, the razor that cuts through the curtain. They dressed the lie in silk and diamonds, but your vision sliced it clean, because real eyes don't flinch at glitter. You weren't given sight to be entertained, you were handed a razor, and that razor is called discernment, not a soft whisper of intuition, not a gut feeling you brush off. This is clarity forged in fire, honed by storms, carved by trials, and sharpened by betrayal. And now it's your blade. You want to know why they sweat when you walk in? Why conversations stop? Why eyes shift? Why silence falls like a dropped glass? It's because they know. They know you can see what they've worked so hard to hide. They know your silence isn't confusion, it's calculation. They know you're not fooled by appearance, performance, or position. You see past the mask, past the words, straight into the code underneath. That's not an accident. That's not just how you are. That's alignment. That's design. The universe crafted your discernment like a scalpel to cut through illusion with surgical precision. Others get swept up in charm, chaos, surface, but not you. You feel what doesn't fit. You sense what doesn't sit right. You see the glitch in the smile, the shadow behind the kindness, the agenda hiding under the offer. They call it paranoia. You call it pattern recognition. And still, some of you doubt it. You question yourself. You think, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe I'm just too sensitive. Let's be clear, they trained you to second-guess your own radar. Because if you ever trusted it fully, their whole game would fall apart. They didn't just want you blind, they wanted you confused. Because confusion keeps you quiet. But your discernment is too sharp now. You've seen too much, felt too deep, learned too hard. You don't just hear the lie, you feel it recoil when you enter the room. Discernment isn't about being nice, it's not about playing spiritual referee. It's wartime perception. It's knowing the difference between honey and poison, even when they're served in the same glass. They never thought someone like you would wake up. But here you are, eyes wide, blade drawn. And now you make them nervous. You see, discernment breaks the illusion that held their control. It doesn't matter how polished the presentation is, your inner radar already clocked the frequency was off. You didn't need proof, you felt it. That's your edge. And it terrifies them, because they can't manipulate someone who sees the strings, so they call you crazy. Too intense, too suspicious, too much. But in reality, you're too clear. And clarity in a deceptive world is rebellion. That's why your presence is a disruption. That's why your questions shake the room. You don't ask to create conflict. You ask because you care about truth. And when you cut through the fog, people can no longer pretend they didn't know. Your discernment brings accountability. And they hate being held accountable. They wanted your compliance. You gave them awareness. They wanted you distracted, you brought focus. They wanted your silence, but your energy speaks before you even open your mouth. That's power. That's why they sweat. So sharpen it, hone it, trust it. You weren't given this razor to play it safe. You were chosen to carry this blade into a war most people don't even realize they're in. And the battleground? It's not out there. It's in the unseen. It's in the tension behind the smile, the fake peace behind the success, the lie behind the light. Because where others see a stage, you see a script. Where they see power, you see puppets. And where they see control, you see fear wrapped in gold. Discernment is your weapon. Use it. Don't question it just because it makes others uncomfortable. That discomfort is your confirmation. That pushback is your signal. That resistance, it's your receipt that you're not just walking through life, you're disrupting it. So the next time someone looks at you sideways, the next time your energy clears a room faster than your words ever could, remember, you're not here to play nice with illusions. You're here to bring the whole facade crashing down. They're sweating for a reason. And your discernment, that's the heat. Number 3, wearing truth like bulletproof glass. They dressed lies in silk and whispered them with smiles, but you walked in wearing truth like armor, and they couldn't even look you in the eyes. You ever wonder why they throw so much at you, and yet you're still standing? It's not luck, it's not coincidence. It's because you're armored in something they can't fake, can't steal, and definitely can't break. Truth. They set traps. You stepped right over them. They lured with shiny distractions. You saw the wires behind the bait. They sent people masked as allies, but your discernment peeled their faces clean off. That's not just awareness. That's not just instinct. That's armor. Real, forged in fire protection. You walk through the war zone, but you're not bleeding. You're not breaking. Why? Because you walk draped in what they fear most. Truth without apology. And the thing about truth, it doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to convince. It simply is. And when you wear it, when you carry it like a second skin, the fake tremble, the deceivers scatter, the systems that rely on sleepwalking masses, they start glitching in your presence. You don't even need to speak. Your energy exposes. Your silence convicts. Your gaze alone makes the hidden squirm. That's what happens when the chosen walk in armor. See, without truth, people fall. Without truth, the wolves walk straight through the front door, dressed like healers, like helpers, like harmless little sheep. And the world lets them. The blind praise them. But not you. You saw the glint in their eyes. You felt the cold in their tone. You caught the flicker that gave it away. Because your discernment is your armor, and it makes you untouchable in ways they'll never understand. Understand this. Manipulation thrives in confusion. It needs you unsure. It needs you off balance. It needs you doubting yourself just enough to hand over your power. But you didn't just keep your power. You refused the script. You walked into the theater, looked past the actors, and saw the wires, the lighting, the man behind the curtain. And when you did, you didn't panic. You didn't play along. You stood still, clear, armed, and it scared the hell out of them. Because when you're armored in truth, you're immune to emotional bait. You don't fall for empty promises. You don't get swept into the crowd's hypnosis. While others are led like sheep, you're walking like a wolf in the opposite direction, calm and calculating, unbothered by the chaos. And yes, that makes you a target. But here's the secret. They can aim all they want, but arrows bounce off armor. Let them fire shots. Let them whisper. Let them try to twist your path. Their schemes fall flat against your clarity. Their traps collapse beneath your steps. Their poison loses flavor in your mouth. Because truth has always been more than words for you. It's instinct. It's vision. It's your internal compass that refuses to break, even when the whole world leans the other way. You weren't just given this armor. You were trusted with it. Because only the chosen can carry it without losing their soul. And the ones aligned with darkness, they can smell it on you. They know who you are. They know you were built to see. They know you didn't come to blend in. So they'll attack. They'll gaslight. They'll try to paint you as paranoid, intense, difficult. But here's what they're really saying. You see too much. You feel too deeply. You aren't fooled. Exactly. And that's why you're still standing. That's why they sweat. That's why they scramble to distract, to discredit, to dismiss. But you You just keep walking. Truth wraps around you like steel, silent, firm, unbreakable. Declare it, claim it, burn it into your bones. My discernment is my armor. Because when you wear truth like armor, no weapon formed against you ever stands a chance. And the system, the lies, the puppets, they know it. Let them sweat. Number 4, ripping the wires out of the matrix. You weren't asleep, you were sedated. But the moment you opened your eyes, the program started crashing. They gave you a script at birth. Quietly, strategically, be polite, fit in, obey authority, work, consume, repeat, smile even when you're dying inside. And if you questioned it, they labeled you rebellious, difficult, too much. But you were never too much. You were too aware. And that awareness, that flicker of this isn't right, that wasn't anxiety, that wasn't rebellion, that was your discernment waking up inside a system designed to keep you asleep. You were never meant to blend in with a world that profits from your silence. The system wasn't broken, it was built to keep you blind. But then it happened. That moment where the veil slipped, the crack in the matrix. Maybe it was subtle, maybe it hit like lightning. But something in you snapped, and you started seeing. Why is pain normalized, but authenticity attacked? Why are lies sold like candy, but truth buried like contraband? Why is mediocrity rewarded and vision punished? It hit you. This isn't just culture, it's conditioning. A trap not for your body, but for your soul. You were never just surviving the world, you were surviving the simulation of it. Every billboard, every headline, every trend, it's noise, designed to drown your frequency, to keep you running in circles while the truth stays buried under dopamine hits and false narratives. But you heard something deeper, a hum beneath the chaos, a whisper in the noise, and you followed it. That was your first act of defiance. That's when they noticed you. Because the system doesn't panic when people scream, it panics when people see. And the moment you questioned the narrative, the illusion started sweating. You weren't reacting anymore. You were remembering who you are, what you are, and most importantly, what you're not here to be. You weren't born to repeat. You weren't born to nod and smile. You weren't born to obey a script written by cowards in towers. You were born to unplug the machine and rip the damn wires out. And that's what terrifies them, because awakening isn't some cute spiritual aesthetic. It's warfare. But the war isn't out there. It's internal. It's ripping out belief systems that were planted in you before you could talk. It's choosing truth over comfort, clarity over popularity, and purpose over performance. It's walking away from the herd, even when you're shaking. And yes, it's lonely. But let's be honest, following the crowd was killing you anyway. They made you think the cage was normal, that the numbing was peace, that staying small was maturity. But the day you said, "This doesn't feel right," the Matrix heard it. And that's when they started coming for you harder. Suddenly you felt pressure, isolation, pushback. That's not failure, that's confirmation. You were never buried, you were planted. And now, you're breaking through concrete they swore you'd never survive. You want to know why they're sweating now? Because your awakening is contagious. Your clarity is disruptive. Your refusal to play along sends a signal through the code, telling others it's okay to wake up. You didn't just unplug, you short-circuited the system. That's what discernment gave you. Not just sight, but the guts to trust it, to walk away, to lose it all and still choose truth. Even when you didn't know what came next. Even when it meant losing everyone who only loved the version of you that stayed asleep. But look at you now. Standing here, clear-eyed, war-tested, spirit anchored, and they don't know what to do with that. You've become a glitch they can't patch, a fire they can't smother. You were supposed to follow the program, not rewrite it. But that's exactly what chosen ones do. So keep walking, keep cutting through the noise. And when the system starts shaking again, good. That means you're close to another breakthrough. They wanted compliance. You gave them defiance. Now they're sweating because you woke up, and you're not going back. Number 5. You walk in, and the masks start melting. They didn't fear exposure until you showed up with eyes that made shadows scream. Darkness never feared the crowd. It feared the one who could see. The system isn't shaken by followers. It's shaken by witnesses. People like you, those who walk into a room and shift the energy without saying a word. Those whose presence alone is like flipping on a light in a room full of thieves. You want to know what's got them sweating? It's not your voice, it's your vision. Not your volume, it's your vibration. Because you're not playing along. You're not pretending you don't notice. You're not accepting the story just because it's been repeated 1,000 times. Your discernment slices through the surface like heat through ice, and suddenly, what was hidden starts to unravel. You walk in with stillness, and their lies start shaking. You ask one question, and their entire script glitches. You tilt your head, and suddenly the facade cracks. That's the power of discernment. That's why they watch you, avoid you, and try to discredit you. Because in a world built on illusion, truth is radioactive, and you're carrying it like it's second nature. They hide behind layers, titles, smiles, good intentions. But you've learned how to see past the costume. You don't just hear the words, they bounce off you like noise. You feel the frequency. You detect the mask before they even finish tightening it. That's not paranoia. That's perception. You weren't meant to be deceived. You were designed to interrupt deception. That's why they whisper behind your back. Why they try to twist your confidence into arrogance, your insight into judgment. Because they know. You don't need to yell to shake foundations. You just need to be awake. Darkness thrives on secrecy. It feeds on your silence. It relies on the world being too distracted, too addicted to comfort, too hypnotized to notice the strings being pulled. But here you are, unapologetically noticing. They expected you to play dumb, to nod along, to laugh at the lie and go along with the script. But you just stood there, watching, knowing. And that makes you dangerous. You see, most people get seduced by surface. A good smile, the right credentials, a few pretty words, and boom, the trap is set. But not you. Your discernment is too trained, too tested, too battle-worn to fall for pretty lies wrapped in poetic delivery. You've been burned before, betrayed, misled. But instead of becoming bitter, you became bulletproof. Instead of closing your eyes, you sharpened your focus. And now, you can't be played. Their narratives? You see the gaps. Their power? You sense the fear it's built on. Their masks? You don't just notice, they slip when you get close. That's what gets under their skin. That's why they call you a problem. That's why they label you intense, aggressive, too deep. Because your energy won't let them breathe comfortably in their lie anymore. You don't have to expose them with a speech. You expose them by simply existing. The truth doesn't need volume, it just needs presence. And your presence? It's pressure. They feel it. They flinch at it. It rearranges the energy in every room you walk into. Because you don't just see the truth, you are aligned with it. You are the disruption, the defiance they never planned for, the glitch in their perfect little loop. And still, you stand, clear, focused, refusing to play the part they wrote for you. They wanted you to sleepwalk through life. You chose to wake up and walk through walls instead. So let them hide, let them tremble. Let them run behind more polished lies. It doesn't matter anymore, because the moment you entered the scene, the game changed, and they know it. Your discernment is their downfall. Your defiance is their exposure. And your presence? That's the alarm they can't silence. Let them sweat. Number 6. You are the storm they can't predict. They thought you were just another rebel, until your energy started collapsing systems without saying a word. This is war. Not the kind fought with fists or fire, but with frequencies, with unseen pressure, with manipulation disguised as love, with confusion dressed up as guidance. This isn't a battlefield made of blood and bullets. It's one built of illusion, fear, and distraction. And you, chosen one, you are the glitch. You are the rupture. You are the storm they didn't see coming. The moment you stepped into alignment with truth, something shifted. You didn't need to raise a flag or shout a slogan. Your mere presence started shaking the walls they built. You didn't come to play their game, and that's exactly why they're sweating. Spiritual warfare? Call it what you will. It's energy. It's pressure. It's the system reacting violently to what it can't sedate or predict. They don't come for you directly. No, that would be too obvious. Instead, they move through situations, through people who speak sweet but carry poison, through opportunities designed to waste your time, through conversations meant to drain your energy. It's subtle, it's strategic, but you're not falling for it. Because your clarity is too sharp, your sight too clean. You know when something's off, even if you can't explain it right away. That feeling, that subtle pressure in your gut, that's your inner radar locking in. That's your gift of discernment, sharpening itself in real time. They try to gaslight that, to mock it, to call you crazy, paranoid, too intense. But the truth is, they're terrified. Because nothing scares a manipulator more than someone who sees without needing proof. You've become immune to their mind games. You don't dance to their emotional bait. You don't bend under their shame tactics. That's what they can't stand. They fear what they can't predict. They hate what they can't control. And right now, that's you. You walk through fire without catching flame. You stare down confusion and keep walking straight. You've stopped asking for permission, stopped waiting for understanding, stopped begging to be believed. That silence, that knowing, that's your power. That's your weapon. You don't just speak truth, you embody it, you radiate it, you carry it. And in a world run by manipulation, that makes you dangerous. They try to wear you down with chaos, throw you off with noise, wrap you in fear and call it normal. But every time they think they've got you pinned, you rise clearer, sharper, more aligned than ever. Why? Because you don't pull strength from the surface. You're tapped into something deeper, something ancient, something they can't touch. You're not just surviving the battle, you are the battle. You want to know why the pressure hasn't stopped, why the attacks come from unexpected places. It's because your awakening sent shockwaves, because when a chosen one rises, it disturbs the frequency, it awakens others, it opens eyes, and the system can't afford that. You are not just resisting darkness, you're disrupting it. You are not just enduring the war, you're winning it without lifting a hand. They underestimated you because you were quiet. They mistook your stillness for softness, but now they know. Your energy is not passive, it's precise. You don't need to fight for truth because your presence is truth. And that alone is war. So when the pressure intensifies, good. That's proof you're close to something major. When the attacks become subtle, manipulative, psychological, that's confirmation you're breaking more than habits. You're breaking systems. You're the threat they tried to gaslight out of existence. And still, you stand, still unshaken, still watching their empire tremble every time you speak from that quiet, knowing place inside you. You are the storm they can't predict, the vibration they can't silence, the awakening they never wanted to face. So let them sweat, let them squirm, let them throw shadows, because you are the light, and light doesn't flinch. Number 7. The world is cracking, and you were built for the break. When the world starts choking on its own lies, the ones who breathe clarity become dangerous. Look around. You feel it, don't you? The air is heavier, the noise is louder. The distractions are more seductive, more glittery, more hollow than ever. The world isn't just changing, it's reckoning. The illusion is collapsing under its own weight. Systems are short-circuiting, masks are melting, and the false lights people once chased, they're flickering out, one by one. But let's be clear, this isn't chaos by accident. It's strategy, it's backlash. It's the illusion lashing out because the truth is rising, and it knows its time is short. What they're selling as wisdom is nothing but upgraded confusion. What they frame as freedom is just rebranded chains. And what they call evolution, it's often just a prettier prison. Every trend, every movement, every new distraction, designed not to liberate your soul, but to sedate your spirit. They don't want you awake. They want you agreeable. They want your energy, but only if it's asleep. But here you are, chosen one. You didn't come to blend into the fog. You came to slice through it. You didn't come to chant the new language of confusion. They expected compliance. You gave them clarity. You gave them defiance. And now the world trembles because chosen ones don't follow noise. They recognize frequency, and when that frequency is off, you don't make excuses, you make distance. Right now, humanity is standing at a fork in the road. And no, this isn't some metaphorical fable. This is real. The old systems are desperate. The illusion is losing its grip. And in its panic, it's pushing everything false to the front, hoping people fall back asleep one last time. But you didn't fall for it, because you were built for this exact moment. You're not just watching the world shake. You're one of the reasons it's shaking. You're not just here to witness the reckoning. You're part of the correction. Your presence, your awareness, your refusal to fall in line, that alone is a cosmic disruption, a signal to the entire system. The truth isn't dead, it's awake, and it's walking. That's why everything tried to pull you off path. Why the pressure increased. Why the people you loved turned cold. Why life hit you harder than most. Because the universe was training a warrior, not building a follower. And now, the time has come to choose your frequency, not your comfort. The voice of illusion will sound friendly, easy, even enlightened. It'll promise peace, but deliver emptiness. It'll whisper, "You're free now," while tightening the invisible leash. It offers you the world as long as you sell yourself in return. But the voice of truth, it doesn't scream, it doesn't sell, it doesn't seduce, it just pulls. Quietly, strongly, like gravity. You feel it in your gut, you hear it in silence, you recognize it when everything else sounds fake. So the question is no longer, what's going on out there? The real question is, which voice are you going to follow? This message isn't meant for everyone. Not everyone wants to see through the illusion. Not everyone is ready to lose comfort to gain clarity. But if this hits your bones, if something inside you is buzzing, rising, burning as you read this, then this is your confirmation. You weren't born to float through the noise. You were built to shatter it. You weren't meant to follow trends. You were sent to end them. The world is reckoning. And chosen ones, you're the alarm clock. Let them sweat. Number 8. Sharpen your weapons. This isn't just survival, it's assignment. They gave you vision, not so you could admire the view, but so you could spot the trap before anyone else even saw the gate. You didn't just wake up for the sake of awareness. You were activated for war. Not a war of fists or flames, but a war of energies, intentions, and unseen agendas. And you weren't thrown into this battle empty-handed. You were equipped. That inner voice, that razor-sharp intuition, that ability to read between the words, feel frequencies shift, and spot deception even in a smile. That's not weird. That's your weapon. Discernment, clarity, vision. These are your tools, not your burdens. The problem is, the system taught you to doubt those tools, to suppress them, to call your knowing paranoia, to call your distance coldness, to call your boundaries attitude. But let's make something clear. You weren't built to be liked. You were built to break patterns. And that's why they come for you. That's why the attacks feel personal. That's why the path feels lonely sometimes. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to cut through. The moment you accepted that, everything shifted. The distractions intensified. The noise got louder. The betrayals hit closer. Why? Because clarity is expensive. And once you have it, you become a threat. Not just to people, to systems, to the entire frequency of illusion that runs this matrix. So you need to be ready, because the more aligned you get, the more misaligned things will try to attach to you. That's how energy works. As you rise in vibration, your mere presence becomes a mirror, and everything that's fake starts scrambling to survive in your reflection. People you thought were allies, they'll fall off. Situations you thought were secure, they'll collapse. Your peace will make noise in the wrong places. But hear this clearly. This is confirmation, not punishment. You're not being broken. You're being fortified. You're not being isolated. You're being protected. You're not losing. It's just everything that can't go with you is being stripped away. So how do you prepare? Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Not in the dramatic movie scene sense, but in the frequency war you're walking through daily. Don't just set boundaries, enforce them like armor. Don't just walk away from what dims your light. Run like it's a trap disguised as comfort, because most of it is. Energy vampires don't come with fangs, they come with flattery. Distractions don't look like chaos, they look like opportunities. Traps don't feel scary, they feel familiar. That's why you need to be sharp. Silence will sharpen you. Solitude will train you. Stillness will strengthen you. The more you clear out noise, the louder your inner knowing becomes. And that's the most dangerous thing you can carry in this battle: clarity. Because once you see clearly, you can't be bought. You can't be manipulated. You can't be moved by fear, guilt, or sweet-sounding lies. You're not here to keep peace. You're here to disturb the false peace they sold the world. You're here to trigger awakening, not through force, but through unshakable alignment. And the truth is, not everyone will understand your assignment. Not everyone is supposed to. You're not here to be understood. You're here to disrupt. You've been given eyes that see through noise, a soul that doesn't sit still in deception, a mind that questions everything they tried to spoon-feed you. That's not a glitch. That's your design. This isn't about playing it safe. This is about becoming the version of you the illusion can't control, the version that makes them sweat just by existing. So prepare accordingly. This path isn't for the passive, it's for the precise. You're not just someone with insight. You are a living, breathing frequency shift. And that shift, it shakes the ground under every false structure. So sharpen your tools, guard your spirit, and never forget, this isn't just survival, it's assignment, and you were chosen to complete it. Let them sweat. Number 9. Now is the time to stand loud in your frequency. They tried to drown your voice in noise, but didn't realize your silence was a signal, not surrender. This is the moment they've been trying to stop. The shift is here. The illusion is cracking. And the ones who were always meant to rise, you feel it in your bones. Because the world isn't just changing, it's revealing itself. The veil is gone. The masks are slipping. Everything hidden is being dragged, clawing into the light. Whistleblowers, revelations, breakdowns of the system. This isn't chaos. This is clarity catching up with the lie. And you're not just a witness to the unraveling. You're part of the force that's causing it. Every time you speak truth in a room full of fake peace, something shifts. Every time you hold your boundary in a world begging you to compromise, something cracks. Every time you choose clarity over comfort, silence over performance, purpose over applause, the matrix malfunctions. You are not passive. You are a walking disruption, a frequency too loud for deception to survive around. That's why they threw noise at you, endless noise, distractions, drama, fake connections, tech addiction, emotional chaos. All of it designed to keep you from remembering who you are. They wanted your energy scattered, your thoughts hijacked, your focus diluted. Because a focused, chosen one, that's lethal to the system. And yet, here you are. You made it through the storms that were supposed to silence you. You healed wounds that were meant to keep you playing small. You faced yourself and kept going. You're not broken, you're ready. And no, this path hasn't been easy. It's cost you peace, comfort, relationships, maybe even your sanity at times. But you didn't just survive the attacks, you learned from them. And now, you've become immune to the tricks that used to take you out. They tried to manipulate you with shame. You turned it into self-mastery. They tried to label you. You became undefinable. They tried to box you in. You became uncontainable. This is your time to speak, to act, to move with intention. No more waiting for validation. No more toning down your clarity to make others comfortable. No more dimming your light for spaces that were built to blind you. Your story matters. Your frequency matters. Your discernment sends out ripples that wake up people you'll never even meet. You are not here to impress. You're here to ignite. Because truth isn't just what you say, it's what your energy does to the lie. And your energy right now, it's nuclear. It's undeniable. It's dangerous, but only to those who've built their lives on illusion. So let them fear your rise. Let them try to smother your momentum with mockery, isolation, distractions. None of it works anymore, because you're not just aligned, you're activated. 2024 isn't a reset, it's a reckoning. And chosen ones aren't watching it from the sidelines. You're the ones behind the tremors. Every awakening starts with a disruptor, and disruptors don't ask permission. So whatever's been pulling at your gut, listen. Whatever's been nudging you to move, speak, create, act. This is the year your alignment becomes action. You don't need a platform, you are one. You don't need a crowd, you move energy on a soul level. This is your moment to rise, bold, clear, unapologetic. Because when the light rises, the lie crumbles. And right now, you are that light. Let them sweat. They should. Number 10, walking as proof that the system failed. You're not just proof that the system didn't win, you're proof it never stood a chance. You want one last confirmation that you were chosen. Here it is. You're still standing. After everything, After the lies, after the betrayals, after the isolation, after the moments they tried to break your mind, numb your heart, and erase your voice. You're still here, still breathing, still thinking for yourself. And not just surviving, but aware, aligned, awake. That alone is proof. Because the system wasn't built to handle someone like you. It was built to wear you down, keep you running in loops, make you question your worth every time you spoke up. It was designed to twist your brilliance into burdens and call your clarity crazy. It counted on your silence. It never planned for your resistance. Yet, here you are, walking, talking, thriving evidence that their programming didn't stick. You weren't saved. You saved yourself. You didn't wait for the rescue. You became the rescue. You didn't just break out. You cracked the pattern, and now others are finding the way through your echo. That's what has them sweating. Not just that you escaped, but that your presence is activating others. You are a walking contradiction to everything they preach. You're the glitch in the algorithm, the signal in the noise, the quiet no that shatters generations of compliance. You walk like someone who's read the script and tossed it in the fire. You move like someone who knows, who's seen behind the curtain, who isn't impressed by the lights anymore. And because of that, you're untouchable in a way they'll never admit out loud. You no longer operate within the bounds they created. You don't shrink to make the room feel safe. You don't play along to keep the peace, because peace built on lies isn't peace at all. You don't belong to this world. You disturb it, and that's exactly what you were born to do. They tried everything, gaslighting you into silence, mocking your intuition, using people close to you to plant doubt, feeding you false narratives until you questioned your own clarity. But the truth was louder, the vision was clearer, the call was stronger. And now you walk different. You speak with pause and power. You don't need a spotlight to be felt. Your frequency announces you. That's why they stare. That's why they whisper. That's why some suddenly fall away when you get near. Because your energy isn't just truth. It's truth that moves. Truth that convicts. Truth that shakes systems without a single word. Let them call you intense. Let them call you too much. You were never meant to be measured by standards set to contain you. You are not too much. You're the exact amount this world needed to rupture the lie. You don't need permission to stand fully in who you are. You are the permission. You are the proof. You are the living, breathing disruption they couldn't plan for. And the more you walk in that truth, the more the system loses control. Every boundary you enforce is a line they can't cross again. Every time you speak truth when silence would be safer, the spell weakens. Every time you choose clarity over convenience, another piece of the illusion crumbles. This world tried to tame you, tried to twist you into a version it could tolerate. But you refused to fold, and now you've become everything they feared you'd discover. You don't need a crown to lead. You don't need applause to walk heavy. You don't need anyone's approval to be the standard. So walk like you know who you are. Move like your presence rearranges reality, because it does. And every room that tries to dim you, let it adjust. You don't owe comfort to the lie. You don't owe apology for your clarity. You owe alignment to your assignment. The system wanted silence. You became sound. Now they sweat every time you show up in full truth. Let them. And so, here we are. If you've made it this far, you already know. This message was never just words. It was activation. You've seen too much to go back. You've felt the shift. Now it's time to walk like it. Stand in your clarity. Move with power. Be the signal. If this hit your spirit, like this video, Subscribe to stay connected. Drop the number 77 in the comments to let others know you're awake, and share this with someone who needs to remember who they are. Every click helps this message reach more chosen ones. Let them sweat, and I will see you in the next video.